Today we have a very special guest from Simple.Savings.Cents. His name is Eric and he's a fellow Chicagoan, and we talk money, we talk Chicago, we talk a little bit about how he got to where he is and what his path is moving forward, and it's a great episode. So thanks for coming by. Be sure to hit that like button and enjoy this interview. All right, so thank you guys all for coming back to my channel. Today we have a super special guest. We've got Eric from Simple.Savings.Cents today. So if you haven't already read the blog post, Eric's blog post went up yesterday, and you got to check it out because he's got a great story up there. So Eric, thank you so much for coming on today.
No, thank you. Thank you everybody out there who's going to be watching this. I'm excited to share my path, and hopefully, one person or 100 people, whoever can, find some inspiration out of it. I'm excited. Let's work on this financial freedom together.
Yeah. So I guess let's just start with that. So you're Eric, but where'd you get started, or how'd you get started, and where are you currently located? I think we can all tell from the flag in the background.
Yeah. So Chicago, Illinois, by way of South Florida. I know everybody's going to say that's crazy because you're going from warm to cold, but trust me, I do love it here in the Windy City.
That's crazy. What part of South Florida? My boyfriend actually is from South Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What part?
He's in Fort Lauderdale, or from Fort Lauderdale.
Good. Yeah. So South Florida, in Boca Raton, actually, which is just north of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Graduated from FAU, got my bachelor's degree in business, and had the dream of working the corporate ladder. Did that for a long time, probably too long. But yeah, I'm now in the whole financial freedom space with everybody and this whole great community of people. To be honest, it's a very new thing for me. I'll say this year really kind of woke me up to kind of the importance of having your money game right, and I had working and we'll talk about this as well. I've been in banking as well for 7 years. No longer working in that field, but as I touch on in my blog post, I didn't have everything down, for myself personally. This year kind of, did a whole lot of reading, as we'll talk about in the blog post. I had an aha moment that really made me kind of say, hey, Eric, kind of time to get your act together.
What was before you got to your aha moment, what was your trajectory like? Like after college, what were some of the money moves that you made that led to your aha moment?
Yeah. So I think, debt, I think, if we're going before aha, debt, credit card debt. I had a lot of credit card debt. I was kind of using them. To be honest, I didn't really didn't have a full understanding on credit card interest. I just knew it was something I was paying, right? And I really never got out of that hole. So I would say that's, we'll play both sides here. I had some good things going, and with that, I did have retirement. I started that very early on. So retirement savings, I did my company match, and I, did that starting at like 25, 26 years old. I started that. I'm 33 now. So that has grown to a decent amount. But with that, I was in credit card debt like a lot of Americans. I was spending more than I was earning. I didn't really save that much. And other than retirement, I really wasn't doing a whole lot of savings. I was living the dreaded, some of your users probably will know the dreaded living paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. My paycheck was funding a future lifestyle.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. I feel like, especially in my early 20s, I was just constantly saying yes to everything, not really worrying about the money. And I think what I've heard from a lot of millennials too is like, I never thought I was going to retire. I was like, oh, I'll just probably keep working because retirement's this like myth. Nobody really retires. And so I just never decided to get my money right until eventually I was like, oh, wait, I could actually do this because other people are doing it. What was the moment for you that made you realize, okay, I don't want to do this paycheck to paycheck lifestyle anymore? Like, how did that realization come for you?
I would say, to be honest, it's very recent. I would say honestly, probably early last year, I always knew, as I got older, I started to realize, credit card debt is not good. Like something's got to happen with it. You got to, as I got older, I started to realize, credit card debt is a real, pain. So much monthly income is going to these credit card payments. So I would say that started a couple of years ago, and I really started to tighten that up. But it wasn't until I would say honestly last year into, getting up to that aha moment where I was like, I can't do this forever. Like I got like financially something has to change. I have to save more of my money. I have to invest more of my money. I have to put myself in a position financially where I can say, hey, I want to go to work. I don't have to go to work. This was, I would say, probably within the last 2 years, that mentality started to kick in. And then, obviously the aha moment we'll get into kind of catapulted that, but, I knew credit card debt was a pain. And, I was like, why is so much money that I make going to this damn credit card,
So what was your aha moment?
So the aha moment, as you guys will hopefully read in the blog post, cross my fingers, was so my girlfriend, who I love so much and is wonderful, and she's gonna watch this and she's gonna want that shout out. She woke me up one morning. It was a Saturday morning in August, and she said, "We're going to a real estate investing seminar at like 10. Let's go." In the suburbs of Chicago, and we live in the city, Chloe. So like I'm not going to the suburbs. It's like an hour away. So we went, and we got there. It felt like there's some signs up and everything, and step this way. This is what you're going to learn about. Here's a booklet. Can we get your email? Can we get your phone number? I'm like, all right, whatever. And that seminar was my aha moment. That seminar really kind of did one key thing for me, was made me realize, hey, you can earn income other than your W-2 job. Like your I have always, like we talked about a little earlier, my dream was to follow the corporate ladder. Follow the W-2 job, follow the 3%, 4% increase raises for 20, 30 years and do that. And this job kind of took what I thought and flipped it on its head. This seminar made me realize, hey, your job's one piece of income, but if you want financial security, you're going to need to discover new ways to stream income. And, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income coming into them. So that was a moment, and again, thank you to my wonderful girlfriend for picking me up out of bed and putting me in a car out there. And it was a moment that I would say the research part, the intensity of learning really went into high gear.
That's so great. I love that your girlfriend was like, all right, we're going to do this thing today. Surprise. It's going to be great. And it ended up changing the course of your life. Like that's huge.
Yeah,
that's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And just like the energy of people when they attend those things, like that in of itself, I feel like is a motivator to
seminars,
I want to do this differently.
Yeah. And seminars are a great way, there's something definitely I want to be more involved with and either conduct my own or go to more. Because like you said, there's an energy from the presenters, and 2, there's an energy from being in a room with like-minded individuals, people that you can, whether you're going to buy the pitch at the end or not, being just there to connect with like-minded people to kind of share in whatever topic you're going to learn is something that I think, myself included, I think we should do much, much more of.
Yeah, once this pandemic's over.
Exactly, yeah, we'll have to stick to these.
Or virtually, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had your aha moment and you went to this seminar. And so obviously you got a little bit of information on real estate there. What was your first action when you decided, okay, I want to pursue this. I want to start learning how to become financially independent.
Yeah.
Well, what did you do now? Did you just go Google how to become financially independent?
Oh my God, Google. I'm a self, I use Google for counseling. I go on Google, I'm like, hey, how do I do this? I don't feel well, even though I know this is not, you shouldn't do this. I don't feel well. What do I have?
Right.
It's a million really serious things.
You're either pregnant or you're dying of cancer.
Yeah. I'm like a guy, but it's oh, you're pregnant. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but no, I went on Google. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I think a lot of people will attest to. At least what that book can kind of get you thinking about. But yeah, I did a lot of Google searches. I did a lot of Google searches around the topics of financial freedom, financial independence, kind of overviews. They were real overviews. They weren't really saying, save 40%, cut your budget by this amount, and look at this line item. It was very broad, and then I also went into as we talked about the seminar, it made me question, well, what is this W-2 job for? It's not a bad thing, but how does it play into my newfound, goals? And I started like reading a lot about, time, and how people were retiring. I was reading stories about people like, oh, I'm retired from my job at 35. I'm retired from my job at 45. Not saying that they're not working, but it was like these stories of people who had found to take control of their time. So did a lot of reading. Yeah, did a lot of reading, did a lot of researching. I'd say probably within a month, 2 months after that, aggressively.
So then were there any like tactics you started implementing, like a budget or an anti-budget or anything like that? What were those? What are the
zero-based budget? I'm a zero-based budget guy. So I have an Excel spreadsheet that I use, and it's pretty much my line items. I got, and I have my income comes in, minus my bills. The number at the very bottom needs to be zero. So I use zero-based budgeting. And with that, I started to increase my savings little by little. I started keeping my retirement totally separate. I was starting to increase my savings from 10% to 15% to 20%, which we'll talk about as well. I'm doing closer to 40-45% of my income is being saved.
Nice. That's amazing.
So I was like,
yeah. So before we get into what you actually spend every month and what your budget looks like, what are your goals right now? So you're still pretty new, you're starting out, what are your goals for this year? And then what are your goals for long term?
So I mean, a lot of it is centered around the blog. But I kind of break my goals. I did this December, right around December, I finished all my goals for the year. So I got a lot of content-based goals. I won't get into the details of that, but there's goals around growing that, expanding that. There's personal development goals that are more towards, attending seminars. We talked about earlier, finding a mentor, within the space, in terms of investing and real estate and things like that. Reading, I have reading goals. I'm trying to read 50 books this year. So far I'm at 3. Financially, is to continue to increase. I'm inching myself closer to, fully 100,000 or more. So I'm trying to, just keep padding the retirement, keep padding the savings accounts. I am within a month now of a full 1 year's full of expenses saved. So.
Woo, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. That's gotta be so much peace of mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So doing that, I mean, that's huge, and I think, anybody who has an emergency fund now can probably attest. There is a certain weight that lifts when hey, I got 1 month paid of bills, I got 3 months paid of bills, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into what you currently spend every month and what your budget looks like. What's your budget right now looking like?
Yeah. So right now I keep it very bare minimum. We'll start top of the list on rent. So rent is obviously a lot of people's biggest expense. Mine is about 21 to 23% of my monthly income. And that's where I try to keep it. I want to keep it at 30% or below, but so rent is a big one. I do have a 0% loan that I'm paying on right now. Under 10K due, but I did get help with that for it's a 0%, no fees, nothing of that nature. So I pay some to that. Haircut, I get my haircut. So haircut is an expense that I budget for, and everything I'm telling you is actually a legit line item on the sheet. As you guys will see on the article, I used to be a bougie guy and get $80 haircuts for the same damn thing I'm getting at Great Clips now for $20. So save your money, don't spend it on haircuts like that. Cell phone. So cell phone is another big one. With that, we're on a family plan. So hey guys out there, if you can get on a family plan, please get your family on a plan. You can save a ton of money. My brother was paying, for example, $100 a line. We looped him in and now he's paying $30.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
So yes, get on a family plan as long as you're on good terms with your family.
Right.
Electric. So, our electric, we're in a condo, so it's not too crazy. We're probably paying right now right around $40 or so a month in our electric bill. I do split that with, my girlfriend. So nothing too crazy there. This is a very big one for me. It's very exciting living in Chicago, food and fun. Obviously, with the pandemic, we're not doing a whole lot of, fun things right now. So the food, I do budget for that. I budget, that's probably one of my larger, like 200, 250 a month. May not seem high, but for us, it's like, all right, I'm budgeting for that. But I do like to budget for it because we just want to be able to indulge. Deep
Yeah.
dish pizza, all the good stuff. You can attest to that. So
Yep. I feel like that's so important, budgeting for the things that you care about, because it's like, this is the long course. This is something that you're going to be doing for a long time. Like, you're not going to be able to retire tomorrow. So it's like, you have to enjoy the process as you go too. And if that's eating out, it's eating out.
Exactly. So for us, it's eating out. To be honest, we budget that, and we're kind of like we're gonna budget for this. Like, we're gonna, like, Saturday rolls around and we're gonna eat out. And a lot of it's to go now, but if Pequods pizza, which if you're in Chicago, if you're in Chicago, I don't want to hear about Geno's. I don't want to hear about Giordano's. You got to go to Pequods in Lincoln Park, Chicago. Amazing buttery crust. So it's the best.
It's the best pizza.
Yeah, but no, we love spending food on eating out. And before the pandemic, we were definitely, me and my girlfriend and our buddies here, we were definitely the crowd that would say, hey, Friday night, let's go to a bar, get some wings, get some beers, get some food. And so we budget for that stuff because that stuff is important to us. It's fun for us. And, like you talked about, you cannot, like a diet, you cannot limit yourself from things that you enjoy. You have to be able to say, I'm going to spend money on these things. Before the pandemic as well, me and my buddies love going to live concerts. As you know, I'm sure too, Chicago is a haven for music and for live shows. So we budget for that stuff. But that's a big item for us. We like to say, hey, I'm spending money on it.
It's so important because I feel like even when you incorporate it into the budget, it takes the guilt away from spending because you know where your money is going. And then on top of it too, it's like, you're going to spend less just by putting it in the budget. Like you before you may have just been like, oh no, I don't want to do a budget. It's too restrictive, yada, yada, yada. But like, once you put it in the budget, not only is it accounted for and you don't have to feel guilty for it, you're probably going to spend less, but you're still going to get that enjoyment. Yeah.
You're still going to get that enjoyment. And then, like you said, there's no guilt. And I think, a lot of people with financial well-being and all that, a lot of stuff is emotional, spending can be emotional and budgeting can be emotional. And, working in banking for 7 years, I mean, I saw crazy amounts of emotion from people when it came to money. So allow yourself to budget for the things you like to do. You like to get haircuts, you like to, whatever you like to do, go do it, but budget it. Because like you said, if you have an extra $700,000 a month, but you're not budgeting it, that money, I guarantee that money's going to come in, it's going to go out.
Yep, exactly.
So say, hey, I'm going to save 300, I'm going to spend 400. Like, whatever works for you, whatever your numbers are. So, healthcare is my next one, guys. I don't know how you guys have healthcare, but that's a big expense. I'm with an insurance agency now, and it's more of a self-employment kind of deal. And healthcare is an expensive thing. Luckily, it's a reimbursement from my office, so I don't pay for it out of pocket. But it's still on my item as just so I have a visualization of how much healthcare really is.
Yeah, it's definitely eye-opening when you go from being employed at a traditional job to going out on your own and paying for that.
Yeah. Next line item is subscription services. And to be honest, guys, I don't have a lot of subscription services. To my thinking about it, I have one. We have one subscription service.
What's the one?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Well, what is it? Everyone wants to know what it is then.
It is Cooper's Hawk Wine and Restaurants. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Cooper's Hawk Wine and Restaurants. This place,
that's
great
funny.
great food, and I think we pay $40 a month, so $20 on my end. And every month you get 2 free bottles of wine, and they add up. So during the pandemic, at one point we hadn't gone in 4 months.
Right.
So we had 10 bottles of wine waiting for us.
Just a case.
Just the case, yeah. They're like, do you want to take some now? Do you want to take some more? But we're big wine drinkers, or my girlfriend's more of a wine drinker. I'm more of a beer guy. But
so you don't even have Netflix or Spotify?
We do. All right, we do. But I'll give you a little caveat. We don't pay for it. So I don't want to get too far into that, but I don't want to get called out here. But and we're lucky. We're lucky because when it comes to Wi-Fi and cable, it's actually included in the HOAs for this building.
Oh, that's
we don't really pay for internet, and we don't pay for cable. So
okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so that's good. So yeah, Cooper's Hawk plug. You try to check it out. It's really good. Groceries. So we don't spend a whole ton on groceries. I'd say, trying to think, going through the numbers in my head, yeah, I spend less than $200 a month for myself on groceries. And we actually split that. So we make it work. We're not
That's
starving.
so
Trust me,
low.
we're not starving, but we make it work.
Dang, what are you guys buying?
Oh my God, I don't know. It's a lot of stuff where, geez, they're not, well, yeah, they're exciting meal. We make a lot of salads, you know, we keep our
Yeah.
lunches simple. We just made this bomb jalapeno cream cheese casserole last night. But I don't know, like I talked about earlier, guys, I love eating out and that's expensive. It is, trust me.
True.
But, you know, I don't know, it's when we're at the grocery store, we're way more budget sensitive, you know, you
Yeah.
know, and my girlfriend more than me, I'll give her all the credit. I'll say, just buy whatever. It's $5, buy it. But like, you know, for example, jalapenos, like you can buy like a pack of them and they're like, I don't know, like if you get them pre-cut and everything, it's like $5. Or if I buy just 2 jalapenos by themselves, it's like 75 cents.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when we're shopping at the grocery store, we're looking for kind of, it calls crazy. We're looking at unit prices. You know, we're looking at, all right, is
I
it
do
cheaper
that too.
if it's cheaper if I just buy the unit, you know, like versus like it's our pre-cut and
Especially when you're comparing it to like, okay, we cut back on groceries so we can spend $200+ a month on eating out. Like to me, that makes
yeah.
total sense.
Yep, exactly. So and it works out for us. You know, we always, you know, when we do our week, we Monday through Thursday, Friday, we're eating, you know, our lunches, things that we've kind of made, so that we know when the weekend comes, like we give ourselves, again, this goes back to, guys, the emotional aspect of it, and being conscious of how you're spending and being, you know, purposeful when you're spending.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know, like, all right, we're going to eat groceries for a week so that when the weekend comes, we're going to spend money. We're going to spend money. We're not going to think about it. We're not going to dwell about it. We're not going to get sad about it. Just going to spend it.
Yep.
And then money rolls down and we get right back to our routine. So give yourself that, you know, whatever it is for you guys, give yourself that room, you know. And the 2 big ones, guys, you guys are going to love these. Retirement and savings. Those are my last budget items. So let's give it up for a little retirement action, a little savings. So for retirement, guys, I contribute to a employee 401k,
Okay.
and I get a match. I get a match with that, so I contribute to the match. And then I have my own traditional and Roth IRAs on my own that
Okay.
I kind of self-manage. And if you are good with the investments, you can self-manage yourself. If not, there's a lot of life path and index funds that, you know, will match when you're going to retire. But I contribute, so savings and retirement combined, I contribute about 45% of my income to savings and retirement.
That is awesome. And such a big.
It wouldn't be possible without the budget. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, it wouldn't be possible without the budget and budgeting for all the items. And I have a lot of fun. I do a lot of great things, but I still manage to save, you know, 45% of my income.
That's amazing. You should be so proud of yourself, especially from going just a couple of years ago or even last year, going from 10% to that. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's, you know, biggest advice I can give, you know, to everybody watching is just budget. It doesn't have to be this bad thing. It can be fun. It can be whatever you want it to be. But you will be amazed at the money you save when you do that, you know?
Yep. And when you know where your money's going, like it's
there's
like,
a lot. Exactly. I always, in my blog post, I always kind of, I describe money, especially when you invest it in compound interest. I describe it as suiting up your dollars to go out and work for you.
There you go.
It's cheesy, but think about your dollars as you're suiting them up and they're going out and they're working for you, right? But you got to tell them where to go. It's like an employee. Like an employee that is at a job and doesn't know, you can't just tell them to sell insurance and figure out, and they have to figure it out. You got to give them a job. You got to give them somewhere to go. You got to give them a purpose. Same thing with your budget and your money.
Yeah.
Tell it where to go.
Absolutely.
You know, if not, I'm telling you, what is the quote? Tell your money where to go. Or you're going to wonder where the hell it went.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one or the other. Pick your poison.
So I like to ask people, like, what was money like for you growing up? So like, what was money in your household? What did you hear parents ever talk about money? What was the vibe around it?
Yeah. So we did not come from an upper class, God, I wouldn't even say a middle class family growing up. We came from more, I'd say lower to middle income is kind of where we were at. My mom, you know, I was raised single. My mom raised me, by herself. So we lived on food stamps, as you'll see in the articles. Retirement, savings, index funds, none of that stuff was brought up. Like nobody talked about that, like nobody. And it's not even that. Trust me, I love my mom to death. It wasn't that she wouldn't. We didn't grow up with that. Nobody in my family talked about money. Nobody in my family talked about retirement and savings and any of that stuff. We definitely were a family that was kind of making ends meet growing up. So we were told go to school, go to college, get a job, and then retire in 40 years. And by all means, that is not a bad thing. I'm not here to say that isn't. I know that when my mom told me that, it was out of good intention. She wanted me to do better than her. She didn't, I was the first person, I want to say, I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. So, it wasn't something that we talked about, but, we grew up on food stamps. We had to make ends meet at times as kids, but hell, we're better off for it. Trust me.
Yeah. So how do you think growing up in that environment and growing up not talking about it really, how do you think that impacted you now? Like that you had to overcome in order to start on your financial independence?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And from a specific purpose in terms of money, it's huge because I want to create generational wealth. I know that gets thrown out a lot, but I think it's important.
Yeah.
You have to know your why, and you have to understand why you're doing it. That's from a specific standpoint. From an overall standpoint, there's a lot of confidence that comes from when you come from something that's not, living in trailer parks and living, in households that, weren't, you didn't have everything, so being able to, there's a confidence boost that comes from coming from that kind of upbringing, making yourself do things. And to be honest, I'm a strong believer in that you can really, whatever you want to do, you can do it. It just comes down to your internal thoughts, your processes. It's not on topic really, but I'll share, when I was in Florida, I always remember when I was 21, I said, I'm going to move to Chicago, Illinois. I'm going to move to New York City. Like, I'm going to do it. 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 I even created a Word, I don't even know, 97 document on my donkey laptop. It said neighborhoods in Chicago. It said Lakeview, Lincoln Park, whatever. I was 21. And, I did it, but and that's why I always tell people, I'm like, don't underestimate the power of a thought idea, because you can really, there is true power in visualization and manifestation. So not to get too holistic on you guys, but
no, I agree completely.
Yeah. Like, you can, whatever you believe, you speak it into the universe.
Yeah.
Because if you really want something bad, your mind is gonna, you tell it, you say it, your mind is gonna figure out a logistical way to get you to where you want to go. You just got to really believe it. You got to really think it, and let your mind determine the path to get you there.
Yep, that's what I tell people when we get started on budgeting. I'm always like, the most important thing you need to do at the beginning of the stage is figure out why you want to do it. Because if you don't know why you want to do it, when it gets tough, you're going to give up. Like, that's just as simple as it is.
Your mindset is the most powerful tool you'll ever have.
Yeah.
And not just in your budget, but in life, in what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. You have to have a growth mindset. You have to have an ability to know that you can overcome things. And most of all, you have to be consistent. Like I said, I grew up, like I said, from a lower middle income family. I went to school. I told myself I'd come to Chicago or I'd go to New York, and, fast forward, here I am, but it's because I had a strong conviction that I would do it,
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, final question before I have you share where other people can find you. What are your top 3 recommendations in terms of resources for people? So either your favorite books or your favorite podcasts or blogs or YouTube channels. What are those that you would recommend?
One, without it being, it's not, maybe it's not all the way about, financial, independence and all that, but I do love listening to Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income podcast. So if you can check out Pat Flynn, SPI, Smart Passive Income podcast, his whole podcast is dedicated to entrepreneurship and, financial independence, especially in online marketing, digital marketing. but really the importance of financial independence. The Richest Man in Babylon is number 2.
Okay.
So if you guys can go out and read The Richest Man in Babylon, it's a little bit hard of a read because it's kind of real like historical tones, but it's very basic laws on money management. It's a story about a guy who became the richest man and a lot of the steps that he took to get there. And you guys will find out if you're following Chloe, you'll see my stuff. It's a lot of stuff we talk about, but this was obviously like hundreds of years. The laws still apply. Finishing it up now, but I'm going through and I'm like, it's a lot of the same concepts we talk about, keep more money than you spend. And number 3, guys, it's not going to be really a tangible thing, but I suggest you do it because it'll help you. It helps me tremendously with my mindset, is use 5 minutes of your day to just YouTube motivational speech or motivation. Just type it in YouTube and every day, listen to 5 minutes. Listen to 5 minutes of a motivational speech every single day. I do it every day, and it's part of like my own personal growth mindset tasks that I complete every day. Sometimes we all need to just hear positive thinking. Like there is an impact to be, the world is a very negative place at times, as we've seen recently. It's very impactful to just listen to hear 5 minutes of positivity every day.
I love that. That is such a great tip, and it's not one that I've heard a lot. So thank you for sharing that. I love that.
Yeah, it's like, and you think about it, it's like we all have 24 hours in a day. Can you spare 5? I'm pretty confident you can.
Yeah, right. Even if you're just walking around doing chores.
Yeah. Do you get, do you scroll your Instagram feed 5 minutes? Yeah, for sure. So you can find 5 minutes to just listen to some motivational speech. And I think, we live in a time where you can really get the information, like it's not hard to find out what you want to do. It's not hard to find out what you want to learn. Mm-hmm. Like it's all there. Like I've heard, I think Gary Vee said it, we live in a time now where you want to like, whatever you want to learn, whatever you want to sell, whatever you want to do, the internet has made it possible for you to do it right now. Like you don't know how to code, go Google it. There's hundreds of hours of content on how to code. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to build a website, go Google it. There's 20 million blogs that'll teach you how to create a blog. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to make money on the side, go to YouTube. Somebody will tell you how to do it. Yeah. So if you don't take control, it's on you.
I agree. I've always said that and this isn't an original quote, but it's not your fault if you're effed up. It's your fault if you stay effed up. And it's like the same kind of mindset of it's like you have the power to do it and you have the power and the initiative. Like you just have to do it. That's it. You just have to do it.
I have a W-2 8-hour job. I spent 8 hours a day on this job, and it's okay. My coworkers are great. My boss is great. I enjoy my job, but I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours every day on personal goals. You can spend 8 hours of your day at your job. You need to spend an hour a day on your personal goals because it's those little consistencies. It's the compound interest of life.
There you go. That is a great one. You should use that. It's the compound interest of life.
Trademark. Nobody use it. That's trademark. Right? Simple.Savings.Cents has trademarked that. Don't touch it.
Hey, perfect segue. Simple.Savings.Cents. Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us where we can find you. And thank you so much for being on this tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So you can catch me on the blog. That's where I do a lot of writing, a lot of valuable content, which is www.Simple.Savings.Cents. I'm on Instagram, guys. You'll see me on here. I'm on Pinterest. I'm pinning there. But my goals with everything that I'm doing, guys, is just to bring you some positivity, some motivation. And God, if I can get one thing easier for you when it comes to money, it's a success.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Everybody go follow him, go like his stuff. And, if you ever have any questions, hit him up in his DMs.
That's it. Slide in the DMs.
Slide into his DMs.
Keep it PC.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to hit subscribe so you can see all my future guest posters. And if you haven't already, head on over to Eric's channels that I link down to below and give him a follow, give him a like, give him some love too. So thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And until next time.